Hello viewers, welcome to our special program of celebrating C.R.C. at 30. My name is Kiddies, a son of Excel College Kano, and with me are my friends.
Mayamba.
Children all over the world have a reason to celebrate this year, as 2019 marks 30 years since the adoption of the C.R.C. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Children is a treaty which set out civil, economical, social, health, and cultural rights of the children, regardless of their gender, religion, or ability.
Today, nearly all governments have pledged to respect, protect, and promote the rights of children.
This makes the convention one of the most visionary and universally accepted human rights in history.
So for the next 1 hour, we will be watching a variety of segments to celebrate C.R.C. at 30. A recital titled "The Nigeria I Look Forward to," and we also have a news bulletin, and then a presentation on the climate changes and how it affects children.
Finally, we will have an interactive session with the UNICEF field officer in Kano.
Enjoy our first segment, which is a recital titled "The Nigeria I Look Forward to."
Good morning, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joria Bashir Adam from Basic 8B of Hanan International College, Kano. I'm here to present to you the Nigeria of our dream. Presenting with me is
Hawa Murtala Adam, 7B student of Hanan International College.
Today, Wednesday, 20th November 2019 is a special day, being the International Day of the Girl Child. It is also unique as people across the world join UNICEF in celebrating 30 years of Child Rights Convention.
Before we make our wishes and prayers for the Nigeria we look forward to, let me refresh your minds on the journey so far.
A great event happened in 1989 when world leaders came together and made a historic commitment to the world's children. They made a promise to protect and fulfill their rights by adopting an international legal framework, the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child.
The convention, ladies and gentlemen, says childhood is a special protected time in which children must be allowed to grow, learn, play, and develop and flourish with dignity. The convention became the most widely accepted human rights treaty in history and has helped to transform children's lives.
In the year 2000, 2 additional protocols banning the sale of children, child prostitution, and child pornography were ratified and signed by most member states, and the success story continues.
Without a doubt, the convention has inspired positive changes in laws and policies, making the world a safe, healthy, and conducive environment for the survival and development of the apples of your eyes, the beacons of hope, and the future leaders of this wonderful country. It has also enabled more children to be heard and engaged in making our societies better protected from violence and exploitation.
We look forward to a Nigeria where no child has to live with the pain of knowing that his mother had to give up her life to bring him to this world, because she is among the hundreds of thousands who die in labor and childbirth.
We look forward to a Nigeria where no child will be forced to live a crippled and miserable life simply because he wasn't given proper health care and vaccination within the first years of his life.
We look forward to a Nigeria where the best quality of education, integrated with entrepreneurship and important life skills, is free and readily available to all children, from the Niger Delta to the far north.
We look forward to a Nigeria where no child will be roaming streets, begging or hawking, no matter the color of his skin, gender, geographical location, or the social status of his parent.
We look forward to a Nigeria where no child will starve to death trying to cross the desert of Africa, the mountains of Asia, or any oceans or seas. running away from war, hunger, poverty, or violence of any form.
We look forward to a Nigeria where no child will be molested, abducted, kidnapped, or lured into sexual abuse, more than slavery and forced marriages, or be born to underaged or unknown parents in baby factories or militant camps, led by misguided zealots under whatever guise.
We look forward to a Nigeria where televisions and other entertainment programs will be innocent and devoid of violence, pornography, and improper content.
We look forward to a Nigeria taken away from the current path of plunder and self-destruction to a green, sustainable, and prosperous environment that our great-grandchildren will be safe and proud to live in.
We look forward to a Nigeria where the family structure of the foundation of morality is empowered and produce and develop tolerant, educated, and enlightened citizens of our beautiful country. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we look forward to a Nigeria where universal values of justice, tolerance, and equality of all citizens will form the basis of mutual cooperation, conflict resolution, and nation building. This is the Nigeria of our dream. Thank you for your attention and happy deliberations.
Well, I heard that the students of Hanan presented a recital on the Nigeria they look forward to. I know and I hope that together there's a hope for a better Nigeria. Next on our agenda is a news bulletin.
Yesterday was a global day of action around the world as a symbolic stand for the rights of children. UNICEF Nigeria, in conjunction with artists, released a song to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. The song, titled For Every Child, featured R&B legend Tubaba, Hausa musician Umar M. Sharif, Chidinma, Timi Dakolo, Niola, and music producer Kobams Asuko. The song calls on Nigerians to pay more attention to children as they are the leaders of tomorrow. Meanwhile, at the United Nations headquarters in New York, UNICEF Goodwill ambassadors David Beckham and Millie Bobby Brown hosted a global summit. They called on world leaders to fulfill their commitment to realize the rights of children.
In September, in this very building, Greta Thunberg, a 16-year-old girl, told world leaders an uncomfortable truth. She told them that the adults of the world had failed to act on climate change, and she's carrying that message around the world.
Today, on World Children's Day, let's make new promises to the children of the world. We promise to listen to you. We promise to learn from you. We promise to act for you. Together, we promise to work harder to protect your dreams. Thank you very much.
Finally, a new report released by the United Nations Children's Fund, that's UNICEF, has urged urgent action and a commitment to child rights to address age-old and emerging threats. Based on the report, the Convention on the Rights of the Child at a Crossroads says, and I quote, "Although there have been historic gains all over for the world's children since the Convention on the Rights of Child was adopted 30 years ago, many of the poorest children were yet to feel the impact." That's our update on celebration of CRC at 30 from around the world. Keep celebrating children, because they are the leaders of tomorrow.
Welcome back. Do you girls have anything to say on the news bulletin?
Well, what I would like to say, the song is actually very catchy, and I like the song because it kind of gives us the confidence we need as children, and that's that.
And I also appreciate the fact that leaders are finally acknowledging our rights, to the fact that they promise to help us they promise to act for us and so many things. Thank you.
The song was really wonderful. It's encouraged children to know that they have their right to do anything they want to do.
And the fact that the government and the world leaders think that children have rights and they're willing to participate in the fulfillment and the protection of their rights is very wonderful.
Yes, we appreciate.
And I also think the theme of the song is appreciative because it says like children are the leaders of tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think that's like a good vibe for the children.
Yes.
And then I think our next presentation is climate change as it affects children.
Welcome to this segment of celebration of C.R.C. at 30th. This talk show is about climate change and its impact on children. My name is Hanan International, and here with me are
Asma Sabo Ibrahim,
Aisha Hamisu Abbas Maina.
Thank you. I will be talking about the causes of climate change, and the two ladies at the extreme end will be talking about the impact of climate change on children. And my dear over here will tell us the solution and control of climate change. Climate change is one of the major environmental problems we're facing today. Viewers over may be wondering what climate change is. Well, climate change is the change of the statistical properties of the climatic system, which is when considered over a long period of time, probably 35 years. There are two major causes of climate change, which are the natural cause and anthropogenic, or as we like to call it, human induced, which is caused by human activities. We have, under the natural causes, we have volcano activities, volcanic eruption, and earthquake, and so on. And under human activities, we have gas flaring, depletion of the ozone layer, and deforestation, and also chlorofluoro gases, which is CFC. So, Asma'u, tell us the impact of climate change on children.
Climate change affects everyone in the world, and it has the greatest impacts on children. Because they are still growing, they are at greater risk of disabilities, injuries, and death caused by climate change. The escalating droughts and flooding causing food degradation. Children bear the greatest burden of hunger and malnutrition. The world's poorest children struggle to survive every day. Because they do not get enough nutritious food, they get sick and cannot go to school. When they do not gain proper education, their chances of escaping poverty are greatly reduced. These children's own children are likely to grow up in poverty, and this cycle continues. Severe weather events destroy infrastructure critical to the well-being of children.
You said weather events. Like here in this part of the world, we experience cold and warm weather. What do you mean by weather events?
Well, the earth continues to get warmer and warmer because of the gases released by industries, which depletes the ozone layer.
Alright. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, Asma. Now, Aisha, back to you. What do you have for us?
Okay, in every crisis, children are the most vulnerable. Climate change is no exception. As the temperatures increase together with water scarcity and air pollution, children will feel the deadliest impact of waterborne diseases and dangerous respiratory conditions. As more extreme weather events expand the number of emergencies and humanitarian crises, children will pay the highest price. As the world experiences a steady rise in climate-driven migration, children's lives and futures will be the most disrupted. These are the threats that children face today. Unless we act forcefully to stem the climatic crisis, the dangers will only escalate. It is a prospect so painful to imagine that so many people would rather not think about.
Aisha, this is so heart-touching. But as you said, we act on it, do you mean the people that should act on it should be the public, the government, or the children themselves?
Everybody is supposed to act on it. The government, the public, people, me and you, we're supposed to act on it. Like the government, it should create campaign awareness to educate people on climate crisis dangers and causes with effects.
Thank you, Aisha. We've been talking about the danger of this climate change and what it does to children. What are the controls? What are the solutions to this problem of climate change?
Considering the causes and the impact of climate on children, climate change can be reversed through the following ways. First, we have the use of solar energy in our homes is one of the best way to stop the impact of climate. We have recycling. Yes, recycling is one of the way to stop the effect of climate, because reusing materials use less energy and thus create less pollution in the environment than extraction of raw materials. The next one, we have reducing the use of vehicles, and by tracking using of bicycles and by using of vehicles that uses electricity is also one of the ways that we can help to fight climate change. Eliminating our junk mail is also one of the ways, and also planting of trees rather than cutting them down will also help to stop carbon out of the air and stabilize the climate.
But you said cutting down of trees. It's also we should stop cutting down of trees. It's also a way to control climate. But don't you see that most people cut down these trees to either build their residence or other places of works?
Yes, this cutting down of trees leads to deforestation. It should be reduced because it is done by either burning down the forest, which exposes the soil to erosion, and also this leads to flooding, and flooding leads to airborne diseases and respirational diseases, which is most effective on children.
Okay, respirational diseases. Yes, as the plants, they breathe out oxygen, which is very useful for us, and we breathe out carbon dioxide, which is useful for them when manufacturing their food through the process of photosynthesis. Yes, I understand. So recycling. Why is recycling part of the control of this climate change?
Because by recycling, we don't use reusing of materials do not need a lot of energy. But you see, extraction of materials from the soil uses a lot of energy. We can only achieve this by working together collectively, considering the effect of climate.
Thank you, Nafisa. Thank you, Aisha, and thank you, Asmao. And viewers, I hope you have been able to grab a couple of things from this our discussion. And as Nafisa said, or as we all can say, only if we work together that we can bring this problem to an end. Thank you. And now we'll continue with our programs in celebration of C.R.C. at Tati. Goodbye.
Give me your ears, I no go beg. Picking it good love and care. Kings and queens, leaders of tomorrow. ALAzhar. Life for better if you pay attention.
saka su shara mu ba su kula. Makaranta ilimi, tarbiyya malami, yara in sun yi kyawu, ƙasa ta kyawu bai ɗaya, bai ɗaya.
Every boy, every girl deserves a future that is bright. But when we fold our hands, who is gonna shine the light? There is no better time for you and me to take a stand. So give love and bring hope to the future in your hand, yeah.
A dream that cannot be stopped. I can be the best. I have no other home besides this piece of land to call my own. I am a Nigerian child.
If I get chance, children stay and celebrate them every day. Give me right today, make we don't rob them of their tomorrow. Who's my for their face, make we don't let them to live in sorrow. No matter who you are, with a little love and a chance, you too can be a star, yes.
Welcome back. We heard the student of Aunt Layla talked about climate change. What do you have to say about that?
Well, it's very sad. It's quite disheartening that till today children get sick from negligence, and there's still the issue of lack of education. I believe Nigeria should have gone past this stage now. Nigeria should have a strong and functional educational system. Nigeria should be among the top countries. And I urge the government, I will continue doing that. They should create awareness, campaign awareness. They should go to the grassroots levels. It should be a man-to-man awareness on effect of climate change and
Some people don't realize it yet, but actually climate change affects the children in almost every aspect. Some of them starve because some people, the only source of income they have is their farms. And if their farms become flooded, and they will have nothing to eat, and most of them will be hunger stricken. So I believe the government, not only the people, because it's not all the time that the government are at fault. So the people and the government need to work together and fight this deadly act.
I agree with the controls she pointed out in the talk show, which is afforestation. That is planting more trees and cutting them down. As we know that lack of this causes global warming, which leads to ozone layer depletion. And this ozone layer depletion leads to various diseases such as skin diseases and other diseases such as cancer. So they should try as much as possible to be planting more trees and cutting them down.
And then most effects of climate change have negative impact on people. such as airborne diseases and waterborne diseases. So everyone should act on climate change. Like we can recycle used products, the government could create awareness, and like we can plant trees instead of cutting them down. Also, weather destroys infrastructures which will benefit children. So I think like the government could also like raise awareness on this.
And infrastructure. The government should improve its infrastructure because till today we have cases of flooding, and flooding has serious effects on people, not only children, even the adults. It kills and causes respirational diseases. So the government should work on its infrastructure.
And the government needs to also think of like using clean energy, use of solar.
Yes.
Like solar should be used everywhere instead of using like coals to in industries. Clean energy should be used.
And I think like most of these causes of climate changes are as a result of human activities. And like I think
we should manage our human activities more. We should manage it. It has positive and negative, more of negative effects than positive.
Next on the agenda of programs, we have the Vox Pop, in which we ask like people outside their opinions on the rights of the children.
on the rights of a child and the major problem children are facing in their community. What do you understand by the right of a child?
The right of the child is because in many countries the child have their own freedom. Like Nigeria, the child have their own rights. Being a child, you have what you're supposed to do, your freedom, the human rights that the mature person have, the children are able to meet. And in some societies, especially Nigeria, there are a lot of people that take the child rights for granted, and which is very bad. As a child, they are humans, and times will come that they want to rule the country. So their right is the equal to the mature people.
What do you think is the most important problem facing children in your community?
Actually, in my community, one, the lack of education. We get to know that education is the rock in the walls. When the child is not educated, there will be a lot of progress in pictures. And that is what a lot of parents have taken for granted. And some parents, I can't bring them because of the challenges. And my advice to all is that no matter what, even if it is mean for a parent to labor, let a child be educated. That's the best thing.
So, what do you understand by the right of the child? So, the right of the child is the basic necessities the child needs. The child has many rights. Right to education, right to health, right to having a good sanitation, and many other rights. These are types, or these include rights of children.
What do you think is the most important problem facing children?
So in society, one of the most important thing children need is environment. You need a very clean environment because environment plays a major role. The health, which without a good environment there will be diseases. And without having good health, you have children going out of school, and which will affect them. So I think the environment, the first right we shall have, because it encompasses every other thing.
Please, what do you understand by the rights of the child?
According to my understanding, the right of children does not only stop with the children, but even the adults. But because of the importance we attach to children, their rights are, number one, freedom of the freedom to play, freedom to live, freedom to have education, freedom to be protected, freedom, all sorts of freedom. You know, children from the age of, from age 1 to age 18, we call them children. Because according to Convention of Children's Rights of 1992, which was promulgated in Ireland, children are supposed to be protected in all ramifications, in all respect. They are supposed to be given the right to play with their colleagues, to be protected, especially during this era of kidnapping and what have you. The children are supposed to be protected by their parents, the teachers, the communities, and everybody. So,
thank you. Again, what do you think the problem children are facing in the community?
Problems are many. Number one, some parents have carefree attitude. They don't control their children. They allow them to play with dangerous weapons, I mean like knives and other harmful things that affect the children. So children are not supposed to be allowed to play with anything they like because they don't know what they are doing. Their brains are not developed. At times they will pick something on the road and say they are going to eat, which is very, very bad. So children are supposed to be educated and also at the same time to be guided by their parents, and not even the parents, everybody on the same.
The rights of the child. The rights of a child are the fundamental things, the basic things the child deserves. They are not privileges, but they are the things the child is entitled to. Yes, by the fact that he is a human being, he or she is a human being. So that's it.
So what are the problems you think children have?
Well, let me go back to the question again. The rights of a child. Example one, the child is entitled to education. The child is entitled to parental upbringing. Yes, so the question you ask now, the rights, the problems facing the child. Number one is education. Yes, the child, especially in northern Nigeria, is not given the education as he or she deserves. Yeah, the problem is actually because of poverty, I feel. Poverty, you know that the average Nigerian is actually poor. That's just the whole truth. The average Nigerian is poor. The second problem of a child, again, is parental upbringing. Parents are very careless about the way they bring up their children. Parents don't train children as they ought to. So this is a call now to parents to train their child as they are supposed to. Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome back. I'm sure you saw us as we interviewed people on their opinions on the right of the child. Joining us is the presenter of the program.
Hi, I'm Sophia Baba from AlAzhar School.
Well, it was really stressful getting people to tell us their opinions on how they feel on the right of the child. The person I interviewed had a similar reason to this. She said the right of the child are those basic things that a child is allowed to do or have in a society. They are natural, that is, they are the same everywhere, regardless of the gender, race, or status. They are inalienable. They cannot be taken away from a person unless with genuine reasons. And they are lawful. They are written down in the Constitution and are laid down as laws. They are also protected by the law court. And child rights cannot be bought, sold, or inherited.
And viewers, I'm sure you saw that it was quite entertaining and difficult and stressful too. It was very fun. We were struggling to interview people. Some weren't willing to talk, but we kept pushing, and at the end of the day, we got good results.
Well, the Vox Parks was impressed, like how you have to pursue people to talk. And that's the problem we are facing in Nigeria. People will not come out and voice their opinions. And because of this, the government will not take any action against it. But at least it was interesting. We learned that the work of a journalist, it's not that easy, guys.
Well, have you noticed something? Most of people talk about education, education, education.
Yes.
Like in Nigeria, in Kano to be precise, we have a very poor educational system. Most of people were talking about education, the education of a child, education. It's not actually, but in Kano to be precise, females are deprived of education.
Yes.
Not only because people believe that girl child belongs to the kitchen and nothing more. They are meant to be good cooks and good wives, which is not proper.
Yeah, some people even say if a girl cooks, it's her duty. But if a man should cook, it's ours. It's very rare.
I don't get the logic.
It lowers people's morale. It stops them from doing great things. It stops children from actualizing their potential.
Girls deserve education. They even do better than theirs.
Yes, I feel they were born for greatness.
Yes. Actually, if people are given an opportunity to progress, they will do so in flying colors.
You might even make changes in the world. Maybe you'll have something that could prove to be a game changer in Kano and the country as a whole.
The female children have their own talent, but in Nigeria they are not allowed to say it out. We have our own potentials, but we cannot come out, express our feelings, show our talent to the world.
Now that I come to think of it, actually, poverty has a key role to play in all this. Because parents feel like if they cannot afford a private school, they should not send their children to school at all. Because they believe that if they send them to public schools, they will not get the proper education they're supposed to. Because of lack of infrastructures and competent teachers.
And also, I think the children should have a safe environment to show their highest potentials. Like in case of girls, you don't have to go around being scared of getting raped or cases of domestic violence,
or even thinking or even doing things or afraid of what the society might think of them if they do something. They should have rights, not the same as the men, but they should have rights also. They should be respected.
So next on our agenda we have the
to every girl child, whether the health care, be her education. 'Cause I be small girl, but I get big dreams. I am a child, the light, the dream, and the hope for tomorrow, hope for tomorrow. And I deserve the best. Indeed, I'm a pride of Nigeria. I'm a Nigerian child.
Every boy, every girl deserves a future that is bright. But when we fold our hands, who is gonna shine the light? There is no better time for you and me to take a stand. So give love and bring hope to the future in your hand, yeah.
Welcome back, viewers. Now we're going to have an interactive session with the UNICEF field officer in Kano. You're welcome, sir, and thank you for joining us in this program as we celebrate C.R.C. at 30.
Thank you very much, and I'm actually honored to be with such a great team from Kano. Much appreciated.
We would like you to tell us can you please introduce yourself?
Thank you. My name is Maulid Warfa. I'm the chief of the office UNICEF in Kano. It's an office that has been recently opened in Kano in July, and I joined the program like 3 months ago. So I'm still new to the Kano office, but not new to UNICEF and not new to the work we do.
Well, we would like you to tell us more about the importance of the Convention on the Rights of the Child.
Thank you. Today is 21st of November. 30 years yesterday, 20th of November in 1989, the world leaders get together and made a commitment for children, commitment to protect the rights of children, and they came up with sets of articles and guiding principles and protocols. Those are called the Convention of Rights of Children, and those rights are what constitutes the rights of children. They start with, as soon as a child is born, registration of that child, right for the child to have birth certificate, right for the child to have a name, and right for that child to have an existence, a document that gives that person nationality, the name, and their rights. And then the sets continue until it makes sure children have their right to loving parents, rights to access to education, right to access to public health, right to leisure, fun, and play, and rights for protection of their existence, and every activity states do to be measured against the best interests of the children. So 30 years we are celebrating the progress, what has been achieved by the world at large, but looking into Nigeria and specifically to Kano, where we are. And I think you are the best judge and jury to tell us where, as a children, you feel we are, and whether you think you and your other peers have their rights been protected, fulfilled, and happy for the progress that we are today. But we can continue and discuss more on some of the progress that the world at large has made. I think quite significant progress have been made, but a lot of challenges lay ahead. What's amazing today is the awareness, the understanding that the children and the youth have globally to take decisions that affect their future on their hands.
So you watched updates and the activities going around the world celebrating C.R.C. at 30. So this program is an effort by UNICEF Nigeria to mark this day as also. So what else is being done to celebrate C.R.C. at 30 with the children?
A lot of activities are happening in the world this week, and in Nigeria. I was just watching a few minutes ago before I came, a huge celebration with the Sultan of Sokoto, surrounded by hundreds of children, all of them painted blue. And a lot of the leaders in Nigeria at federal and state level are also celebrating the beauty of spending great time with the youth, with the children. And it's not only today and yesterday, but it's an event that will continue for a while. And hopefully we'll have several gatherings in Kano to celebrate with the authorities and celebrate with the celebrities that we have locally here in Kano, and mark the day with lots of fun and with a lot of happiness.
So, sir, please, what are the words of encouragement you want to give parents regarding the rights of their children?
Thank you very much, and I think this is very, very important question. When the C.R.C articles are set, there are right bearers and right holders. I think the first person who is responsible to ensuring children get their rights fulfilled are the parents of the children. Of course, circumstances that parents themselves face differs. The second and the major entity that is responsible of making sure the rights of children is fulfilled are the state and the government. So my word of advice to any mother and father in Nigeria, in Kano, and in the world who is watching us today would be, today, the investment you put on your children will have lasting impact on their future tomorrow. If you mess up the world today, your children and their children for the future will face the impact of whatever action we do. That's why globally we see students are getting on a strike. Why? Because they want to highlight the importance of climate change. Why? If decisions made by parents and authorities and government institutions do not have best interests of children today, the fruits, the outcome that happens today will be on your shoulders. Can you imagine 30 years ago, many of us were young, many of you were not born, decisions made by leaders of the world is what we're celebrating. But there are also decisions made by the governments and institutions and people who make policies that have and still will have lasting negative impact on the future generations that are coming in. So my advice is whatever decision makers make, whatever decision policy makers do, should have the best interests of the children at their heart. But also my advice to the youth in Kano and you is 30 years ago the world was in a different place. Today the world had made a lot of progress that you can take smartphone and get the word out. The interaction of the world has changed and progressed. Your access to knowledge has improved. Your access to information has improved. It's your time to be part of the decision-making processes of any policy that's implemented by the decision makers. And I'm not suggesting here a revolution, but I'm suggesting voicing your rights and making sure decisions made by the elders, be it your parents, or be it your state's authorities, or be it traditional leaders, or be it religious leaders, do not have lasting impact on you. Because now, 8 years old man making a decision or making a policy will not enjoy that policy they are designing, and the decision they are making will have nothing on them. But who will be dealing with that decision is you. Yes. So why not coming out and voicing your concerns and say, hey, you know what, that decision is about me and I want to be part of it. It has to start from the schools, it has to start from the streets, it has to start from the households. I have a son of 12 years old, and he recorded a statement and put it on YouTube and forced me to address his concerns. I wasn't there. He didn't even consult with me. He didn't even send me the video. He put it on YouTube. And I was embarrassed to see my son putting this, talking about me on YouTube. But I was also happy that he was able to make his own decision and voice his concerns. So the youth, you are in a better position than we were when we were at your age. It's your time to stand up and be part of your future. So that's my advice.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for letting us know it's our time to shine. But yesterday at the UN gathering, Melly Brown, a goodwill ambassador of UNICEF, was talking about actions the UNICEF and leaders will have that will affect climate change. So how do you think educating children about climate change will help the society?
Absolutely. The key drive of the world today and the key drive of any progress has to start with education. Societies that are not educated will never be part of the development and the world that's moving forward. That's why the C.R.C. emphasizes education and the right to education and right to freedom of voice for the youth. So what UNICEF does globally and what we're doing a lot in Nigeria and in Kano is to advise and support the government institutions and make sure access to education. And you guys are so greatly positioned that your governor has announced free and compulsory primary and secondary education. But the question you would like to ask is to ensure the implementation of that policy is moved forward, to ensure that doesn't remain as a political decision and a desire to state good objectives of agenda but it's implemented. So education is the key to development, education is the key to better life, education is the key to better future. It's concerning that in Kano, 1.49 million children are out of school, and a lot of the schools and education structures that do exist, be it formal and non-formal, do not meet up to the quality and the standards that are expected. But I think that should not discourage us. That should encourage us to do better, to do more, and move forward with education. And I think I would emphasize education as the key, voicing, getting your voice heard, the second key, making sure every child gets access, another key. It's also concerning that I was reading statistics that only 6.3% of children in Kano estate are registered. There are a lot of children that were born but were not registered, don't have birth certificates. And then when you do not have a birth certificate and when you are not registered, you do not exist. And that existence, which is the first right of the convention, is not there. So we need to advocate, we need to support the institutions, and we need to make sure children are registered, they have the right, they're enrolled to school, and the school they enroll has the quality to develop them and put them at par with the children of the age, the rest of the world. So yes, it's all about education and education and education.
Well, thank you so much, sir, for your efforts. We really appreciate this, and I hope you honor our invitation anytime. This brings us to the end of our program. I hope you have enjoyed and learned a lot about the C.R.C. and also learned a lot about this program as we celebrate C.R.C. at 30. Goodbye.
So, ba 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 ba. Yeah.
kula makaranta ilimi tarbiyya malami yara in sun yi kyawu kasa ta kyawu bai daya
Every boy, every girl deserves a future that is bright. But when we fold our hands, who is gonna shine the light? There is no better time for you and me to take a stand. So give love and bring hope to the future in your hand, yeah.
A dream that cannot be stopped. I can be the best. I have no other home besides this piece of land to call my own. I am a Nigerian child.
If I get chance, children stay and celebrate them every day. Keep your right today, make you not rob them of your tomorrow. Who's my for their face, make you not let them to live in sorrow. Important, no matter who you are, with a little love and the chance, you too can be a star, yes.